Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm going to take about 30 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders, business owners, to provide you some great Ironman mindsets to help you scale your business, to become a better leader and push yourself out of a comfort zone into something that's going to stretch you. We hope you really enjoy these shows and encourage you to like and share with your friends, your network, family members. Try and get a wider audience and improve our industry. On each show, I'm going to try and pull out one type of Ironman mindset, insight that you could take back to your business. And if you're implementing one insight every single week or all the shows, then it's going to make a dramatic improvement to your business. Super excited as well to share that we're partnering up with Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. Landscaper Podcast. I'm super excited that I have two good friends here, Tim Johnson Jr. and Tim Johnson Sr. on the podcast today. Thank you guys for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Robert. Thank you.
So, a lot of my audience don't know who Tim Jr. and Sr. are. Tell me a little bit about your background, please.
You want to start?
Yeah, I grew up in the fertilizer and oil business. My dad was probably the first person in the world that mixed fertilizer to put on yards, and I hated every minute of it because I'd have to mow mother's yard 2 or 3 times a week. And that's how I was raised up in the business. And then when I was 26 years old, went another way and got into sales. And I was in sales for 19 plus years, was very successful at it, very fortunate, in fact, to grow and that type of thing. And then I retired at 48, and Tim was coming up and he wanted a vehicle. And I said, I'll help you get one, but I'm not going to buy you one. And so that's what started this magnificent thing we're involved with today.
Did you tell me you weren't going to buy me a vehicle that nicely?
I did not.
So,
and by the way, he still has that vehicle.
I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
My background's a little different. I'd still say that this was not the original plan. This was something to make a little bit of money to go buy a vehicle in high school, but I originally went to college on a baseball scholarship, but was planning to be an engineer. And along the way, realized that the grades were good, but I didn't love it. And as I had time to reflect and was transferring schools, realized that I liked being outside. I liked horticulture. I liked the green industry as a whole. At the time, was thinking more of being something more along the lines of a golf course superintendent, or maybe take care of a professional sports field or something like that. Probably not the direction I ultimately went, but transferred schools, got a bachelor's in horticulture from North Carolina A&T. Played baseball along the way, had a great time, and we've been back full time in the business. We say we've been in business since '99, which is true, but it has been our primary source of income since 2009, when I returned from college and a little bit of baseball.
I think you should tell them why you changed majors. What the professor provoked that into?
Well, yeah, the original part of that was we were at I was at my first college, which I'm glad I didn't name in the beginning. It was a liberal arts college that was not very excited about athletes and didn't really care if the athletes could keep grades up or not. So they made it challenging to take certain course loads. And so she basically said, pick baseball or engineering. And I said, well, one of them's paying for me to be here. So I was a business major my sophomore year before I ultimately transferred in to horticulture at another college.
Okay, cool. And I think it'd be fair in saying, I mean, I've known you guys now for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years. That I obviously I didn't know you before that. It just seems as though, the two of you you've obviously built a great base company, but now you're up in the game. You're doing more training, you're evaluating the people you bring onto the team, you're looking to expand your footprint, you're part of a peer group now, you have different coaches, consultants helping you just to try and get to that next level. Is that a fair comment?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've chosen to bring in assistants. You know, I think when you and I originally met, you introduced us to Steve Steele, who helped us with, of course, you helped us with certain things as well, but there was a period of time there where Steve kind of took over and helped us get up to speed. To say we were behind on technology would be an understatement. Would probably be the understatement of the century, as he dips his head a little bit. But you know, Steve came in, helped us. He knew what he was doing. He knew we'd end up in a peer group after I worked with him a little bit, but helped us get our books more aligned with what standard accounting practices in the green industry are, so that we could ultimately benchmark. Helped us get digital. We incorporated Aspire, which has been a game changer for us, and he helped us through that implementation. And then we have ultimately kept him on as fractional CFO. Does a great job for us. We've got back into working with you on some sales training, enhancement manager training, account manager training things, and are in year 3 of a peer group, which has been a very good opportunity for me and really helped me have a group of people to use as a sounding board, as a resource, and also know that everybody else with a company our size is dealing with all the same things that we're dealing with as well.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And as you're going through learning those different pieces of effectively you're scaling the company, you know, I think one of the things we talked about offline was how do you bring the rest of your team along in terms of building the vision? Where's the company going to be in 3, 5, 10 years? Improving the culture of the company. What are some of the things that you're doing to sort of help with that? Because, you know, you're learning, you're putting yourself out there, but how do you bring everybody else from within the company along that journey with you?
You know, I mean, frankly, I think that's something we're still working on, because as we started to grow, you know, this all happened fast. I mean, if you think about this, we've gone from an owner-operator company, you know, the guy we talk about, 2 guys in a truck or 3 guys in a truck. We've gone from that to the company we are now in a period of less than 10 years. And so in some ways, we're still doing that. I mean, the first real budget we ever did was with Steve less than 5 years ago. And so, you know, the first couple of years of that was me and Senior in a room with Steve, figuring it out and doing things. And then, you know, as we went through the Aspire implementation process, Bill, who's our director of field operations, really identified himself as somebody who was really on another level from some of the initial manager hires we had in the past. And so the next year when we went through the budget process, Bill was a little bit more involved. The following year when we went through the budget process, Bill was very involved. Last year, brought account managers in. And so we're really working that down through the company, because the only way you can continue to scale, and this is something we talk about on a daily basis. We talked about this in our Tuesday meeting this week, is how do we take the accountability down from the top? And the only way you can do that is by creating ownership.
You know, Robert, these budget meetings, always Tim and I agree just so much alike on them. I'm being a little bit facetious right now.
Well, you say that. The first one was rough. I think Steve wanted to crawl under the table in the first one. But every year since then, and it's been a learning process for us, right? So I've also got a school I graduated from doesn't do minors, they do certificates. I've got a certificate in entrepreneurship. So I took accounting classes in college, but learning how to manage the financials on a company of our size is a learning process. And I think as well as we both understand numbers, it's been a learning process for the both of us. So I would say every year we've gone through the budget process, that process has gotten smoother because we understand where the numbers we're talking about are coming from better and are much better aligned.
And I think one of the most important things we've done over the last, I think last year was the first year, correct me if I'm wrong, we've taken it off site.
Yes.
And that it gives you
no distractions.
Yeah, it gives you the focus.
It was a game changer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you know, it's funny. I had a conversation with somebody else the other day that, you know, landscaping is obviously super important. That's why we're in business, but it's almost a given. It's all the other things that I suppose are challenging, whether it be the financials or And when you look at how many employees you have and how much that is on your payroll, and we almost become people managers. We're in the business of people management. And, we're dealing with training, we're dealing with personalities, where you're dealing with culture, pulling people along. As you said, Tim Jr., just, that accountability piece.
Yeah, it's, you're 100% correct in that. And it's, I don't care what business you're in, ultimately you're in the people business. And then, I think secondarily, as much as we're in the landscaping business, we're in the logistics business. I mean, efficiency is something we talk about every day. That's what we track in our big dashboard screen in our main office. And, the wrinkle that we threw into this that, we're still doing and it's working, and I'm crazy enough to want to do it again, but to go to a second branch as early in the company as we really were, even though we were 20 years in, but as a bigger company, we really weren't a big company for very long. The challenges of doing all those things that we've been talking about on this call so far in a second location adds another layer to that I knew would be challenging, but was a challenge beyond, I think, anything either one of us really expected.
It was a big challenge. It still is. But, with Bill, our operations manager, he watches overtime like it's unbelievable. Like what I love to do is it shows me how much better we're doing with it. I like to compare this week to a year ago. And that I fuss about the overtime now, but then I look back a year ago and it's a lot of times it's doubled. The overtime is doubled.
Well, half. So last year, I know last year was double this year. So last year, over the course of the year, we cut our overall overtime hours by a little bit better than 60% last year. And it was all through tracking efficiencies. And we put the dials on the wall for our guys to see so they knew what the expectation was. That's the big thing, is you can't hold somebody accountable to some pie in the sky. They have to be able to see it in front of them. They have to know what the expectation is to be able to meet it.
No, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I think people management piece is key. I think you talked earlier about offline about, the challenges and the logistics, and when you have rain coming down and being able to adapt. And we're all going to, whatever business you're in, we're going to have those challenges, whether it be rain, whether it be politics, whether it be some other stuff that hits us. But I feel as though it's that reflection piece where you actually go back and you measure against something you did 6 months ago or a year ago, and you actually can see the progress you've made. But that's what the sanity is all about.
Yes, it is. It really, really is. I just wanted, talking about the rain that we've had, it's been the wettest spring. I can't remember it being this wet in my life. But a guy called the other day and he says, "Y'all didn't mow my yard this week." And I said, no. He says, "Well, I wanted it mowed." I said, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to send mowers out there right now." And he changed his tune very, very fast because it was raining like you wouldn't believe. And, sometimes you just got to talk nice and manage that when people call a little upset. And I think you have to handle those type of things with your account managers and just tell them what's going on. And that's the key to growth, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that it's a good reminder too, is we talk about wanting to put our customers first and have a great customer experience for our people. And I think one habit that we've had to, I don't know if to say break, but we've had to eliminate at least is, there's always a time where maybe it's not even the customer, maybe it's the property. There's a frustration on the property, and everybody will come back to the office and they'll kind of vent about it. But at the end of the day, that doesn't breed the customer first mentality to that. And we've had to really say, hey, our customers are busy people, whether they're on the commercial side or the residential side. If it's important enough for them to call us and talk about it, it's important enough for us to make it a priority to make sure that they feel like they've been taken care of, whether the request is fair or not. It really, at the end of the day. And that's something that is that's, if we're all being honest, that's harder to do than then we want to admit that it is.
We have a policy that if a customer calls in or speaks to the foreman on the job, that he's not happy with something, the account manager has to be in front of him within 24 hours.
I like that. I like that. How do you make that stick? Because a lot of people, I was guilty as well, we'll build in a policy, try and roll it out, and then you see after 45, 60 days, it sort of suddenly erodes and it's not happening anymore. And that gets even tougher when you talked about branches. We ended up having 5 branches, and we have that branch structure. Again, that makes it even harder just with that distance involved, and maybe different people. Maybe there's a slightly different culture within that branch. But how do you guys find success in making that stick?
Well, the main thing, the main thing about it, all the phone calls come into the main office. And when they come into the main office, then the lady will call that account manager and say, hey, so-and-so's called, and this, it's like one lady called the other day, and she's a good customer, been a good customer. And I called the account manager. I said, I want you to set an appointment with her. You and I are going to go see her. And lo and behold, from being unhappy, we're doing about $15,000 worth of work there now. And you got to show them that you care, and that you really sincerely care. And if I can't mow my neighbor's yard, then I can't mow my yard.
Right. Yeah, and actually, you make up a really good point. Is sometimes the good account managers, or whatever level they're at, can often turn those frustrations that clients have into an opportunity to go out there. They show they care. Suddenly they're walking with the client and they're pointing out some things, and suddenly they're selling work. I mean, how great is that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's layers to that answer too. We're hoping that the customer is calling their account manager directly. So the first question we're asking when that call comes to the office, before we even address whatever the issue on the property is with the account manager, hey, why have we not built that relationship to the point that they're calling you? They need to be you need to have that relationship. They need to trust to call you and go through there. What do we need to do to build that relationship? And then, what I will say to that is so then for the calls that go directly to the account manager, we track those through issues in Aspire, and do 100% of the calls get in there? I'm sure they don't. Let's not be naive, but we do a good job. We've got a form in Aspire that's specifically for customer contacts that we track as many customer contacts as possible. And it goes down to the operations. It's no different than crews clocking in and clocking out properly when they're on site. Managers are the same way. It's they know that's the expectation. And we have managers, our managers have continued to improve. The ones that have been with us for a long time have improved. The ones we've hired have been strong character people. And so it's just knowing, hey, this is the expectation. If they know that's what they're going to be held accountable to, they're going to do it just like the guys in the field will.
Yeah.
And one thing our account manager, if we have a truck that's running way overtime, the account manager will stay with that person, that truck, at least a week to make sure, and they'll show them how it can be done a little bit faster.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Senior, I know that, obviously I know you're involved in a ton of stuff, but, you've obviously probably seen a lot of changes from when, the company originally started. You're looking at software systems like Aspire, GPS, talking about efficiency on a daily basis. There's so much out there, but how are you, I suppose, handling or keeping up to date with all those changes? Because it must be like a hurricane sometimes at your office with all the things you see changing. Or
it's when it comes to Aspire, I'll be honest with you, I was not a trooper, to say the least. And when you do it the right way, you know, and I'll be honest with you, about 2 weeks ago, I made a terrible mistake. I picked up a property and didn't go through the process. And I felt really bad personally that I did that, because that's not, you know, I really use Aspire for doing contracts, because I enjoy doing that, especially when I go out and meet the people, sell it, you know, that type of thing. And a large contract here, you know, I'll do it, but then I'll give it over to Tim and let him go through it and see, you know, if there's any changes that can be made. And you have to work honestly as a team, because ultimately it falls on us. And when you're dealing with 115 people, you know, it's now we're dealing with hiring. And so we do a little something different on hiring than a lot of people do. So we know right now, I know exactly how many people we need to hire. And so we've put back in an incentive for that. You get your better people that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you're just doing what you do naturally, Tim. I mean, you're born salesman. I mean, you're good at relationships. You're good at talking to people. I mean, that's how, you know, whether it be this business or previous businesses, man, that's naturally what you're good at. So, can't fault you for that.
I still love to kill. You know, I still do. And I'm gonna tell you this, as far as Aspire goes, do I know how to go in and do all that, you know, that stuff that he and Bill does and the girls? Nah, I don't do it. But that's the reason I have somebody over there.
Yeah,
Right.
well, that's, you know, you're smart. You just delegate.
Right. Yeah, I should probably try that better. But you know, I think the part of it, and the thing about Aspire, so you know, we all know Aspire is a tool, right? Aspire is not going to fix your problem, but it's going to give you the framework to do so. And I think that the thing that has made our relationship on the business side of things much better is Aspire allows us to take the emotion out of that bid.
Mm-hmm.
We have our production rates. We, you know, of course we do production checks in the field, but we've got our production rates in the system. And it takes the, hey, I want to go get this. I know I can go get it for this number. I'm gonna go get this number and figure it out. Well, then we put it on paper. Well, it doesn't make sense. And so, you know, it's a protection for us, obviously, as more people are estimating. It's not just two of us estimating anymore. You know, it allows us to scale in that manner. But for him and I, you know this, the people who are listening to the podcast know this, the people who don't know us probably have figured it out already. We're fairly emotional people from the standpoint we're passionate about what we do. We care about what we do. And so it lets us take the emotion part out of it and make it a dated decision that we can't hide from.
Me get emotional.
No, you're 100% right, and I've been preaching this for the last few months. Is that, you know, we have all this great data now at our fingertips, whether it be Aspire, you know, some of the irrigation smart controllers, GPS, all that type of information. It just allows us to make better decisions and more informed or non-emotional decisions. So I think you're 100% right, and I think that's why more and more companies are looking at, you know, next hires being things like chief technology officers or people that are into AI, just so they'd be able to slice and dice that data and be able to help them become more efficient and make better decisions. So, yeah, I see that more and more. So I know you've been celebrating anniversary, correct?
Yes, 25 years.
That's awesome. And one of the things I love what you've been doing is, you know, I know you had a celebration at your facility. I know you've been doing a lot of social media around, you know, featuring key employees in the company, which I think is great. And what is the buzz like at your company? Is it good buzz? Everybody's fired up and
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, the morale here is, I mean, it's as good as it has ever been. We did as a management team, we read Traction as a group, did a chapter a week over the winter. And so we're now in the very slow implementation process of EOS, you know, and you and I have spoke prior to this call fortunately, a lot of the things that are part of the EOS process, we were either doing or working on, but it's a good framework to help put it all together. So, we've really been having we train every Tuesday morning at 6:30. We bring everybody foreman and up in, and we open it to anybody who wants to grow in the company. And we've been having in-depth core values conversations every Tuesday morning. And it's changed from our managers talking about the core values every week to now it's, this week we talked about passion, which is one of our 6 core values. And we opened it up to the floor and said, okay, guys, let's talk about an example of where you saw one of your peers, or maybe one of, whether it was another foreman, a guy on your crew, or a manager, who exemplified passion over the course of the last week. Do you have an example? And we talked through that. And we talked about what passion means to the company and what it has to mean to not only us, but our customers too. And just doing those things and seeing how that's turned, it's made such an impact on the company.
We have a lot of employees that really care. And we still, honestly, with 115 employees, it's still, you got a core group, and they don't have to be account managers. They can be foremen or people who run, are on the truck every day. But we know about these people. We understand the people. We know that they have kids, and our job is to make sure their life is better.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm sure with, bringing in the core values, talking about them, celebrating them, you're doing the anniversary celebrations. I mean, that must be reflective in not only their attitude, but you must be seeing some of that out in the field. I mean, not everybody necessarily buys in or drinks the Kool-Aid, but I mean, you must be seeing that out on job sites and client feedback and things like that.
Yeah, it's been fun. I would say, of course, do all of us have things to work on in the field? Of course we do. But I've been on a lot of properties over the course of the last 30 days, and just looking at what our properties on average look like this year compared to 12 months ago, 24 months ago, something's moving them in the right direction for sure. And I think it's that buy-in and that camaraderie. We're cooking out for the guys Friday afternoon. So we're we've implemented once a month at our training, our leadership week of training for the month. We're doing breakfast for them, and then one Friday afternoon a month we're getting them all in at a reasonable time, where we've always kind of here and there cooked for guys on a Friday afternoon and just they could get something when they come through, but we've changed it to where it's a more coordinated thing. We're trying to get the guys back where they can have some of that time together to really mesh as a group.
No, that's great. I mean, I think, I was reading a book around David Brailsbury. He does the whole Sky racing, the bike racing team. And, one of his biggest theories is if you make small incremental changes on a consistent basis, you're going to see some big strides, whether that's a weekly basis or monthly. And I think between what you're doing with your vision and your culture, along with, a framework like EOS traction, I mean, you start to add those things up and then reflect back in a year or 2 years, I mean, you're going to make some huge strides. And yeah, I think what you're doing is tremendous, guys.
Well, thank you. And I think you hit on something that was really key, and it circles back to the question you asked earlier. You asked, how do we put these things in place, and then they stay in place beyond that 45 or 60 or 90 days. You can't make big swings. They can't be big swings. We have to make small steps, get those steps right, make those steps habit, and then move to the next thing. I would rather get small things right and build than take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We need to continually take small steps and move forward. And I think you touched on that, and that's a huge key.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, what does the next 25 years look like for you?
Great question.
25 years from now, for me, you better talk maybe 10. Just for me, I still love the sales. It's just something I was born with, something I just love. And I still want to do that, be involved in that, help train that. So that, and you know, I'd like to see our company just blossom gradually, not do 12 million this year and 24 million next year.
Right.
And, you know, I like to see it go gradual.
I'm fine with 16.
Yeah.
Oh, we're starting our budget talks. We better stop.
But, and one more thing I want to add, and this has nothing to do with what you said, but Robert, I want you to understand one thing, that my yard always looks better than Tim's does.
It does.
Awesome. I hope so. I hope so.
But, you know, I think the next 25 years for us, we want to grow and we want to be a leader in the community. We want to provide good opportunity in our community for our guys. And our thing is, and this is what we've said from the beginning, is we want to continue to grow and scale as long as we can maintain the quality that brought us here. And when we get to the point that we can't do that anymore, then we're going to have to pause and make a decision. And whether that is to stay where we are until systems get in place or to do something different. But as long as we can keep quality, we want to grow and we want to keep doing what we're doing, having fun.
Awesome. Awesome. If anybody of the listeners want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
We've got contact forms on our website. We got a brand new website, shameless plug for the new website, timjohnsonlandscaping.com. Or you can email me, tim@timjohnsonlandscaping.com.
Cool. Awesome, guys. And then a little shameless plug for us. You know, we obviously have our thought leader retreat coming up in Denver. I know you guys have been part of it for the last 3 years. And tell the listeners just maybe one or two things that you typically get from that event we have.
Where do you want to start? It's been a great event for us. It is the one thing that him and I do, the two of us, where we kind of get away from the noise, get away from everything else. We get some great conversation in the classes and sessions that you guys have, and it gives us a chance to have some of those higher level conversations without the distraction. But it also, for me, puts us around, you know, there are some big players that come to thought leaders. And so it puts us around those people who are in the position that I want to be in the next few years.
You know, I'm just trying to figure out, you know, 2 years in a row, I've won what Gravely has given away. And I want to see if I can do it one more year.
That's awesome.
So, but I think honestly, by listening, and I can't remember their names. It's two brothers out west, and I probably got so much from them.
Oh, he's talking about Chris Lee and his brother down in
Oh
Texas.
yeah.
And
Earthworks.
You talk to people like that, and you know, we talk to you, and we get to meet people with your company and that type of thing, and you know, you learn things. I mean, you really learn things. I know last year when the guy was talking about Congress and what was going to happen, I can't remember his name.
Andrew Bray.
Yeah, that was very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's useful. And like, you know, the personality assessment that was part of the program last year is something that we ultimately ended up bringing back and using with our team, brought you in and used that. And it was, that was even eye-opening between you and I, because as well as you and I thought we knew each other, your profile was very different than I thought it was going to be.
Probably different than it would have been 10 years ago.
Well, guys, thank you for that. Yeah, we definitely enjoy you being there. We're looking forward to seeing you there this year. It's July 29th to the 31st in the Four Seasons in Denver. You can check it out on the website, wilson-360.com. But guys, really enjoyed our conversation today. Good to see you both and share your knowledge. And I'm excited to see where you all go in the next 25 years.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye. hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great Ironman mindset takeaways for your business or your leadership role. This is Robert Clickybeard. Love to get you, your friends, your employees to join us in our future journey. So please subscribe to your various podcast channels. Visit our website, commerciallandscaper.com or wilson-360.com. You could check out our digital courses. You could check out peer groups, coaching, my book, Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs. And we just want you to have a pure, dead, brilliant day. And finally, thanks again to Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. Cheers, everyone.